Hello everyone. So we'll be working on the quarter scale of size 14. So we are constructing the basic scale quarter scale. So for quarter scale means you'll be using half of the half scale measurement. Don't forget half scale is half of the size 14 full scale. So quarter scale, the waist will be half of the waist divided by 2. The hip and the waist to hem, which is same as your skirt length. So our half scale is 37. Quarter scale waist will be half of 37. That's 37 divided by 2. That's 18.5. Hip is 52 for half scale divided by 2, 26. Waist to hem is 32 divided by 2. That's 16. So to get our basic rectangle, so the width will be hip divided by 2. That's 26 divided by 2. We have 13. And the length will be 16. So we're not dividing this. So to get our basic rectangle, width is 13, length is 16 for quarter scale. So that's what we'll be working on. So what I'm going to do is I'm using half of my regular pattern paper. I'm just going to centralize my pattern. I need to measure what I have here for my width. Don't forget the width goes this way and the length the other way. So I'll measure what I have from here to the edge of my paper. I'll check. I have 45.5. That's my pattern. My pattern is 45.5, 45.5. Now the width measurement is 13. So 45.5 minus 13. We'll do the calculation. So I have 45.5 minus 13. That's 32.5. Don't forget, you measure your own pattern. So yours might be different from what I have. It's okay. All you need to know is that your width for quarter scale is 13. So you minus 13 from whatever measurement you have on your pattern. The length, I have 32 by 32.5. So you divide this excess 32.5 divided by 2. So that's what I'll do next. Divided by 2. That's 16.25. So that's what I'll be taking out, 16.25. So I'll measure 16.25 on this edge. And yes, your quarter scale is usually very tiny. So 16.25, 16.25. Don't forget all our measurement is in centimeter. 16.25. And I'll connect with my ruler all the way down. Please ensure your lines are very straight. And you don't want to have double lines. Now the width itself we need is 13. So from here I'll measure my 13. 13 all the way down. I'll measure 13 and then I'll square it down. So we have our width. So this is the space we're working with. Now I need to measure the length, measure and mark my length. So I'll measure what I have, the length of the pattern paper now, all the way down. I have 62.5. So 62.5 minus the length, which is 16. So what I need is 16. So I'll have 62.5 minus 16. That's 46.5. This is the excess I have. Then I'll divide it by 2. So whatever your measurement is, you divide by 2. That's 23.25. So from the top, I'll measure 23.25, 23.125, And then I'll square. Now measure the 16 that I need from here and square them. So this is my basic rectangle for quarter scale. So the next step is divide the pattern width into 2. So I have 13. Dividing 13 into 2, that's 6.5 and 6.5. And I'll square down. So this is the center front, which is CF and CB. And this is our side seam. Please don't forget to label as you walk. This is the side seam. Next is to mark the upper hip line and the hip line. So for quarter scale, our upper hip line for half scale was 5. Quarter scale is going to be 2.5. And the hip line for half scale was 10. Quarter scale is going to be 5. So I'll mark 2.5 and 5. And then I'll connect. Please ensure you don't have double lines. This is upper hip line, and this is the hip line. If you have any question, just drop it in the comment section below and I'll attend to it. So the next step is at the side seam, you take in 0.75. Remember for full scale you have 3 cm on either side. So half scale is half of the 3 cm, which is 1.5. Now quarter scale is going to be 0.75, which is half of 1.5. So we have 0.75 here, 0.75 here on either side. Next, you take up 1.5 for standard. For half scale, that's for full scale, you take up 1.5. For half scale, you take up 0.75. Now for quarter scale, we'll divide 0.75 into 2. That's 0.375 is what you take up. This is 0.3. That's in between 3 and 4. This is 0.3, in between 3 and 4. Please, it's advisable to work with set square so you have a straight line up. Same thing. Next, at the top of the CB, for full scale, you have to take up 0.5. For half scale, you have to take up 0.25. For quarter scale, you divide 0.25 into 2. That's 0.125. So it's just 0.1. This is it. And then I'll connect with ruler to 0.125. So you connect. Next, connect to nothing on your center front. Next step, at the upper hip line on the side seam, for the full scale, you remember what you have to do is mark 0.5. For half scale, 0.25. For quarter scale, it's going to be 0.125. Yes, it's very tiny. Now, using your French curve, you connect. Connect from the tip of the waist, passing through the 0.125 to blend before the hip line. So make sure it blends before your hip line. You have to ensure it passes through it. Next is the dart. To get your dart from center back, full scale is 7, half scale is 3.5, quarter scale is half of 3.5, which is 1.75. So I'll measure from center back 1.75 and mark. Next, get the midpoint of what you have from here to here. That's 4.2, so 2.1. Now for the center front, full scale is 7.5, half scale is 3.75, quarter scale is 1.875. So that's what I will measure, 1.875. So I'll mark. Now get the midpoint of what you have from here to 1.8. I have, yeah, so this is my midpoint. So let's go to the dart length. Now for your full scale dart length, you have 15.5 for the dart length. That's the first dart length. Half scale, you have 7.75. Quarter scale, you have 3.875. So I'll measure 3.875 down. 10.5, 6, 7, 8, in between 8 and 9. So connecting it, you want to use your set square and ensure placement is correctly done. Next, the dart length for the second dart, full scale is 14, half is 7, quarter is 3.5. So I measure 3.5. So because we're working with size 14 means we have to use quarter of all the measurements we've been doing from full scale. So for that width, center back, the first dart width is full scale 3 cm, half is 1.5, quarter is 0.75. So we have 0.75. So what I'm going to do is the 0.75 I will divide into 2. That's 0.375 on either side. So I'll measure 0.3. This is 0.3. And 0.375. So the second dart leg for the CB, the width for the dart leg is, for standard is 2.5, for half scale, so full scale is 2.5 width, half scale is 1.25, quarter scale is 0.625 for the width. So what you're going to do is divide 0.625 into 2 is 0.3125. So I'm going to have 0.3 and yeah, so usually very tiny. So the smaller you get, so that's why we have to be careful with our measurements. So you connect it to your dart length. Connect to your dart length. Now for the center front, the first dart leg. The first dart leg for full scale is 10 cm, that's the length. For half scale is 5 cm. Now quarter scale is going to be 2.5 cm. So that leg is 2.5. Use your set square. Placement is important. Now the second dart leg for center front, full scale is 9 cm length, half scale is 4.5, quarter scale is 2.25. So the length is going to be 2.25. That's 1, 2, in between 2 and 3. Ensure placement is done. So next we move on to the width. The first dart leg for center front, the width is 2.5, half scale is 1.25, quarter scale is 0.625 for the width. So you divide 0.625 into 2, we have 0.3125. So that's what I'll measure, 0.3 and 0.3. So it becomes smaller. And then we connect to the dart leg. Now for the second dart, the center front, the width for standard is 1.5, half scale is 0.75, quarter scale is 0.375. So you divide 0.375 into 2 and 0.1875. So in between 1 and 2. So you see, it gets smaller. Smaller. So let's not forget to indicate. So we have 2.5 cm. And we have 5 cm. So this is our quarter scale. Now the side seam at the hem, for full scale we have 0.5 on either side. For quarter scale we have 0.25. For half scale we have 0.25, sorry. Then for quarter scale we have 1.25. So I'll just mark 0.1. For full scale we have 0.5 for the shaping. You have 0.5 here, 0.5 here. For half scale you have half of 0.5, which is 0.25. That's for half scale. Now for quarter scale is 0.25 divided by 2. That's 0.125. So that's what we're doing, 0.125. And then we'll connect to nothing on the hip line. So this is it. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share so we can create more videos. And also don't forget to label. So for this we'll have basic skirt block, size 14, quarter scale. Thank you. Subscribe and like so you get to see other videos. Bye.